The rain pounded against the pavement as Sarah hobbled toward the small diner, her crutches scraping against the wet asphalt. Her heart thumped with exhaustion, but more with fear. Fear of being seen, judged, ignored. One leg had never defined her courage, yet in moments like this, she felt the weight of her difference more than ever. Inside, the diner smelled of fried eggs, coffee, and something warm that hinted at comfort, something she hadn't felt in a long time. Her eyes scanned the room, desperately searching for a place to sit. Most booths were full, and the few tables that remained were crowded with families and couples laughing, completely unaware of the struggles hidden behind her cautious gaze. Then she saw him, a man sitting alone, a single cup of coffee in front of him, lost in a notebook. He looked ordinary at first glance, mid-30s, rough hands, a tired but kind expression. Yet there was something in the way he held himself, a quiet strength mixed with vulnerability, that made her heart hesitate. She swallowed her pride and asked, her voice barely above a whisper, "Can I share this table?" The man looked up, startled, as if the question had cracked through some invisible barrier of loneliness around him. For a moment his gaze was unreadable, and Sarah felt the sting of rejection already preparing to hit her. Then, slowly, he smiled, a small, uncertain smile, but genuine. "Of course," he said, gesturing to the empty chair opposite him. Before she settled, she noticed the name on his notebook, James. It was scratched hastily across the top in blue ink, and something about the familiarity of his name, solid and simple, felt comforting in a world that had often made her feel invisible. She sat, careful with her crutches, and pulled her coat tighter around her shoulders, ashamed of her trembling hands. If this story has ever made you pause and think about kindness, second chances, or unexpected friendships, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps spread stories of hope. James watched her, curiosity softening his features. "Long day?" he asked gently, stirring his coffee. Sarah nodded, unsure how much to reveal. She usually kept strangers at a distance, but something about him, something patient and non-judgmental, made her words find their way. "It's hard sometimes," she admitted, her voice cracking. "People stare, they whisper, they treat me like I don't belong." James listened quietly, nodding in understanding rather than pity. He reached for his notebook, flipping to a page filled with sketches, small, messy drawings of buildings, streets, and little moments of life. "I get that," he said softly. "I lost my wife 2 years ago, and sometimes the world feels like it's moving past me, like I'm invisible." Sarah's eyes widened, recognizing the pain etched in his tone. She realized in that moment that loneliness wore many faces, and perhaps, she thought, this stranger understood hers in a way no one else did. For the next hour they shared a quiet conversation, broken by occasional laughter when James recounted clumsy attempts at cooking or awkward encounters with his young son, Ethan. Sarah listened, captivated by his honesty and warmth. He didn't rush her. He didn't pity her. He simply shared a space, a safe, unspoken understanding of two people who had been through storms, both visible and hidden. The diner around them faded into a blur. Outside, the rain had slowed to a drizzle, droplets sliding down the windows like tiny tears. Sarah realized she hadn't felt this alive in months. She realized she hadn't smiled without fear in a long, long time. James glanced at her, his gaze steady. "You know," he said quietly, "life isn't about waiting for perfect moments. It's about noticing the ones that come, even when we least expect them." Sarah nodded, feeling a lump in her throat. She wanted to say more, about the loneliness, the struggles, the dreams she still carried, but words failed her. She realized that sharing this table, this simple act, had opened a door she hadn't dared to approach in years. Over the next few weeks, Sarah found herself returning to the diner. Each time James was there, sometimes with Ethan, sometimes alone, always welcoming, always kind. They shared stories, laughter, and occasionally silence that spoke volumes. Sarah's confidence grew, not because the world had changed, but because she had found someone who saw her, truly saw her. One afternoon, Ethan tumbled, scraping his knee. Sarah's instincts kicked in. She helped him up, cleaned the wound, and tucked the small boy safely in James's arms. James watched her, a smile of gratitude and awe spreading across his face. "You're "Incredible," he said softly. And for the first time, Sarah didn't feel invisible. She felt seen. She felt whole. Months passed, and the diner became their little haven. The table that had seemed so insignificant before became a symbol of second chances, resilience, and connection. Sarah's laughter became more frequent, her steps lighter. She started volunteering at a local community center, helping children who struggled with mobility challenges. Her past pains became lessons she shared, her experiences turning into strength and inspiration for others. James, too, found healing in her presence. The grief he carried softened, replaced by hope and purpose. Together they built a small, imperfect, beautiful world. A world where kindness mattered more than appearances, where friendship blossomed unexpectedly, and where love was possible in the unlikeliest of places. One evening, as the diner closed and the sky painted itself in deep purples and blues, Sarah watched James and Ethan leave, hand in hand. She realized she had been afraid for so long, afraid of rejection, of loneliness, of the weight of her own body. But that fear no longer controlled her. She had found connection, not because she demanded it, but because she dared to ask for it. If this story touched your heart, if it made you believe in the power of compassion, resilience, or the simple courage of asking for help, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And before you go, I have a special request. Comment below and share your story of kindness or second chances. Your words can inspire someone else today. Sarah walked home that night under a canopy of stars, the city lights reflecting off the wet streets. She felt the crutches beneath her, solid and steady, reminders of the challenges she had overcome. And she smiled, knowing that sometimes a single question, "Can I share this table?" was all it took to change a life forever. In a world that often overlooked the quiet, the broken, the different, Sarah and James had found something rare, a safe place, a second chance, and a reminder that kindness could change everything. And as she closed her door behind her, she whispered a small prayer of gratitude, not just for the table she had shared, but for the courage to ask, the heart to receive, and the life she was beginning to live fully, one brave step at a time.